He is none other than Tony Gonzalez. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing well, Rich. How are you?
How do the Patriots do it all the time? Where every team that normally suffers a left tackle going out, or two quarterbacks going out, or a running back going out, or a middle linebacker who calls the shots goes out, that team sinks. The Patriots don't. How does this happen, Tony?
Well, they have, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people share the same opinion, they have the best NFL football coach ever. Ever. Bill Belichick he's got something special going on. He's figured this thing out, how to coach around players. A lot of coaches out there, they coach to their system. They bring players in. They say, you're going to do what I want you to do. You're going to do my system. Where Coach Belichick, he coaches around players' strength. That's why he gets players from other teams. They go to him like Wes Welker, and he puts them in a position that most utilizes their best attributes as a player and in their brain too. It makes it easy on them, and he says you're gonna kick butt in this position, and they do. Where other teams, like, they try to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it doesn't make sense. But Belichick is the best at putting players in the best position to go out there and win.
And he changes scheme every week, right?
And that's what it means. He changed that, so that changes the scheme. You know, he's not going to put. Let's say he brought me in year 17. He's not going to say, you know what, Tony, we're going to put you in the backfield and we're going to lead you up through the hole. It's like, no, we're going to put you in a position where you can be successful, where you're going to go out there and take advantage of whatever the defense gives us. And and it sounds so simple. It really does, but it's not. I've been around. I played 17 years, and there are some coaches out there that are just hard-headed, stubborn people that say, you know what, we're going to do it my way. And I think there's an example of that going on in Washington with the Redskins, with Josh Norman, and I think it's going to change now. But the first 2 weeks, the defensive coordinator, let this kid play. Let him go around and guard the opposing team's best player. It seems like common sense and a no-brainer, but no, we're going to run my system. He's only going to play on this side of the field, and it doesn't make sense. But now, it's going to be an 0-2 start, and we'll figure it out. And now we'll put Josh Norman on the team's best player.
Well, I guess it took Odell Beckham to show up on the schedule for them to acquiesce to Josh Norman, because they're not going to sit there and let Odell Beckham go to the other side of the field and have Josh Norman stand across Victor Cruz or Sterling Shepard after all the water that's underneath those bridges. You know what I'm saying?
You wouldn't think, but look what he's done the first 2 weeks with
Dez and Brown, right?
Dez and Antonio Brown. It didn't make sense. You're watching it, and you're shaking your head, and you're like, why? Even Josh Norman, you can tell he wants to go over there, but I put a lot of that on the defensive coordinator, a little bit on Josh too, because you can step up at halftime and say, I don't care what you say, let me go over there and guard this guy. But I think the defensive coordinator, hopefully they figured it out, and we're going to see a great matchup this weekend between Odell and Josh Norman.
Do players talk about this sort of stuff, quiet moments in the locker room, or when the coaches are out of the room? Do players have conversations on these very types of subjects, Tony?
All the time. Coaching is overrated in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. There are some very, very good coaches out there, but there are also some coaches that, you just shake your head. You're saying, what do you mean it's the system? I've heard verbatim, I won't name names, but I've had coaches, offensive coordinators, come in and say, it's the system, man. It's the system that makes this thing go. And to me, I'm saying, no, it's the players.
Yeah.
Like Bill Belichick said, we're going to come in. We're not going to make Julian Edelman run a post and go. We're going to keep him. We're going to let him work, use his quickness, and work the underneath routes. And like I said, you'd be surprised of a lot of coaches out there that just, it seems they have no brain at certain times.
Tony Gonzalez of CBS joining me here. And just before you phoned in, maybe it's because I'm a TV host, and I feel, that myself and other TV hosts, we bring something to the table that makes a difference. But I was saying scheme never trumps talent, ever, is what I was saying before the break. That talent needs to be somehow, some way fostered within something, but never it's just like you have to do it this way.
Absolutely.
Tony.
I agree with you, Rich. You're a smart man.
Thank you, Tony. That's what I was saying before. But, now we're seeing in Washington, D.C., grumblings about the quarterback to begin with. How do things devolve so quickly when Kirk Cousins is Mr. You Like That and takes him to the playoffs? And then the first 2 weeks, we hear that there's grousing about his poise and about his command. How don't teammates somehow kind of fall back on what happened the year before and give a little bit of slack, Tony?
you think, in today's NFL, in today's world, Rich, it seems like we want instant gratification. We don't want to deal with the growing pains. And make no mistake about it, Kurt had a great year last year, but he's still improving. I still consider him a young quarterback. I still think he can get better. And you're going to go through these ups and downs, and it's up to him. I'm anxious to see how he plays this weekend going against the Giants. Because, being 0-2, first of all, but then also the grumblings that have been coming out of there with his receivers. He's still putting up big yards, but he's leaving a lot of yards out there on the field. And if he can just take his game to just a little bit the next level, he could get back to that guy that we saw last year, the guy who they paid all that money to this offseason. And I got a feeling that it's gonna. I got a feeling it's gonna click this week. I'm almost on the verge of picking the Washington Redskins over the Giants.
Did I just help talk you into doing that, Tony? Were you just spitballing here on the Rich Eisen show?
I think we are. Yeah, we're working out our feelings and emotions, and I appreciate you guiding me.
So, where do you put the pecking order for the AFC here? 2 weeks in, Brady's coming back. Simeon has done just enough in 2 home games for the Broncos to show that they're still, with that defense, have the right stuff. Big Ben doing what he's doing. The Ravens are 2-0. Then you've got the Jets and the Chiefs playing each other in a big game between 1-1 teams on CBS coming up this weekend. Walk me through the AFC that CBS covers on the NFL today, Tony.
Well, first of all, I do believe you got to go through the champs. The Denver Broncos, they're a work in progress. Obviously, the defense is dominant. They're going to be great this year as long as everybody stays healthy. DeMarcus Ware is out, but their backup Shane Ray's coming in and dominated. I like them, but I really, really like the New England Patriots. I think they're the Super Bowl team from the AFC. If I had to pick it right now, when Tom gets back, of course, but when everybody gets healthy and that offense goes out in that field, and you got Deion Lewis, you got obviously Tom's controlling the whole thing, and Edelman, Amendola, Martellus Bennett, Gronk. Like Hogan, Mike Hogan, like all these weapons. I've said when Tom gets back, he's going to lead the league. After missing 4 games, I wouldn't be surprised if he leads the league in touchdown passes this year after missing 4 games. But looking through the rest of the AFC, I like the Jets a lot. I think they got a lot of potential because of their defense and the 2 receivers they have, Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall. If Fitz can play like he did last week consistently, they can be a really, really good football team, especially with the running back Forte coming over. He's playing some good football. And then the sleeper team that I like, obviously I like the Chiefs, but the sleeper team that I really think is going to make some hay this year is the Houston Texans with the 3 new players that they added, running back, quarterback, and the receiver out of Notre Dame, Will Fuller, going with DeAndre Hopkins, and the defense with J.J. Watt and Clowney. I think this is a team that's like kind of my dark horse in the AFC that could make a push to playoffs, and I don't know about a Super Bowl, but I think they could be a really good football team this year.
Well, and I guess to bring it full circle, then tonight's a game that they should win. When their one shot at New England is minus Brady, and then the 3rd-string quarterback's out there with Gronk. Either he's active, just coming off of missing the first 2 games with a hamstring injury, and no Ninkovich and no Deion Lewis. And a short week where Brissett's got to be coached up quickly, even though, as you point out, it's the greatest coach in the history of the NFL that's out there. This is a game the Texans should win tonight. Don't you think, Tony?
Rich, I don't know if you can talk me into that one. I think they got a good shot. I really do. It depends on how Jacoby Brissett comes out and plays. If he can play, not turn the ball, which I think he will, he's going to turn around. They're going to give it to Blunt, let him run over some people, and make short, accurate throws, kind of like keep him safe, keep him in that box, and then if he has to go downfield, then we'll have to. And then the defense is, he's always going to come up with a great defensive plan. But it's the New England Patriots. It's so hard to pick against them. How many times have they made all of us look foolish when you think they're down and out and they surprise you and they win games anyway? It's because of Bill Belichick. And I would not pick against the New England Patriots tonight.
Tony, thanks for calling in. We'll chat soon. If you're out here in Southern California, for sure, I want you in studio, please.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Always. You got it. At Tony Gonzalez 88 on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.